Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's Liberty and watched the stars through the main screen. His ship had been traveling through space for 2 months now. The mission was simple. They needed to check the Kepler 442 system for new planets that humans could live on someday. Jake had done this kind of work many times before. He was good at his job, and his crew trusted him. The Liberty carried 200 people. Most were scientists who studied planets in space. Others were engineers who kept the ship running. Some were soldiers who protected everyone if danger came. Dr. Lisa Chun was the head scientist. She knew more about alien life than anyone else on Earth. Commander Ryan Fletcher was Jake's second in command. He helped make all the big decisions. On this day, something strange happened. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was working at her station when all the computers started making noise. The screens showed something big moving toward their ship. It was much bigger than the Liberty. Amy had never seen anything like it before. "Captain Morrison," Amy called out, "there is a huge ship coming our way. It does not match any human design. In our database." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years in space, he had never met aliens. No human had ever met real aliens. Earth had been looking for other life for hundreds of years. Now it seemed like other life had found them first. "How big is it?" Jake asked. "About 10 times the size of our ship, sir," Amy replied. "It is slowing down. I think they want to talk." Commander Fletcher walked over to Jake. "What are your orders, Captain?" he asked quietly. Jake thought for a moment. This was the most important decision of his life. Maybe the most important decision in human history. "Send them a basic math signal," he said. "Let them know we are intelligent. Dia Chun, please come to the bridge right away." Dr. Lisa Chun arrived. Within minutes. She was a small woman with short black hair and bright eyes. She had spent her whole life hoping for this moment. When she saw the alien ship on the screen, her face lit up with excitement. "This is amazing," she said. "Look at the design. It uses curves instead of straight lines. The material looks like it changes color. This is beyond anything we ever imagined." The alien ship sent a signal back. It was not just math. It was music. Beautiful sounds that made everyone on the bridge feel calm and happy. Then a voice spoke in perfect English. "Greetings, travelers from the small blue world," the voice said. "We are the Zephyrians. We come in peace and friendship. May we speak with your leaders?" Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship used Liberty," he said. "We are peaceful explorers from Earth. We welcome contact with your people. We are honored." "To meet you, Captain Morrison," the voice replied. "I am Ambassador Kethver. We have traveled very far to reach this part of space. We did not expect to find such interesting beings as humans. Would you allow us to meet face to face?" Dr. Chun grabbed Jake's arm. "Captain, this is the greatest moment in human history," she whispered. "We have to say yes." Commander Fletcher looked worried. "Sir, we know nothing about them," he said quietly. "This could be dangerous." Chief Security Officer Tony Blake had just arrived on the bridge. He was a big man with gray hair and serious eyes. "I agree with Commander Fletcher, sir," he said. "We should be very careful." Jake looked at all his officers. He knew they were right to be careful, but he also knew this chance might never come again. "Ambassador Kethver," he said, "we would be honored to meet with you. How do you suggest we do this?" "We will send a small ship to yours," Kethver replied. 3 of our people will come aboard your vessel. You may scan us first to make sure we are safe. We understand you must protect your crew." Over the next hour, the 2 ships prepared for the historic meeting. The alien shuttle was beautiful. It looked like it was made of crystal that changed from blue to green to purple. When it landed in the Liberty's docking bay, Jake and his team were waiting. The airlock opened, and 3 tall figures stepped out. They looked almost human, but their skin was like living crystal. It moved and changed colors as they walked. Their eyes were large and silver. When they smiled, their whole face seemed to glow. Ambassador Kethfer was the tallest of the 3. He wore robes that seemed to be made of light itself. "Captain Morrison," he said with a bow, "thank you for welcoming us aboard your ship. These are my companions. Scholar Velthan, who studies other cultures, and Healer Zarkith, who takes care of our people's health." Dr. Chun stepped forward. "Ambassador, this is Dr. Lisa Chun. I study alien life." "Well, I used to study the possibility of alien life. Now I get to study real aliens." Kethfer laughed. It sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Dr. Chun, we are just as excited to study humans. Your species is very unique. We have traveled across many star systems and met many different peoples. But humans are special. You have something we have rarely seen." "What is that?" Jake asked. "You have both great intelligence and great emotion," Kethfer replied. "Most species we meet have one or the other. You have both. This makes you very interesting to us." The aliens spent 3 days aboard the Liberty. They shared stories about their travels across the galaxy. They said they came from a place so far away that humans could not even see their home stars. They had been exploring space for thousands of years. Healer Zarkith did something amazing. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez had been sick with a disease that human doctors could not cure. The alien healer studied her for 1 day and then gave her a treatment that made her completely well. Amy cried with joy when she realized she was healed. In return, the humans shared their art and music. They showed the aliens pictures of Earth. They told stories about human history. The Zephyrians seemed fascinated by everything. They asked many questions about human emotions and creativity. On the 3rd day, Ambassador Kethfer made an offer that would change everything. "Captain Morrison," he said, "we would like to propose a formal alliance between our peoples. We can share technology that will help humans travel between stars much faster. In return, we ask only to study human culture and biology. We want to learn from each other." Dr. Chun was so excited she could barely speak. "Captain, this could advance human civilization by hundreds of years," she said. Commander Fletcher was still worried. "What exactly do you need to study about us?" he asked. "The ambassador. We need detailed scans of your bodies and minds," Kethfer replied. "This will help us understand how to make our technologies work safely with humans. We want to make sure our alliance helps your people and does not harm them." Jake looked around at his officers. Dr. Chun was nodding eagerly. Commander Fletcher looked uncertain. Tony Blake was frowning. This was another huge decision. But the promise of faster space travel was too good to pass up. "We accept your offer, Ambassador," Jake said. "Let us begin this alliance between humans and Zephyrians." None of them knew that they had just made the biggest mistake in human history. 3 months had passed since the alliance began. Captain Jake Morrison felt good about the partnership with the Zephyrians. The aliens had shared medical technology that helped many crew members feel better. They had also given the humans new ways to grow food in space. In return, the humans let the Zephyrians study their bodies and minds with special scanners. Dr. Lisa Chun spent most of her time with the aliens. She loved learning about their culture and science. The Zephyrians told her stories about distant worlds and amazing creatures. They showed her pictures of cities made of light and oceans that sang beautiful songs. Lisa felt like she was living in a dream. Commander Ryan Fletcher was not as happy. Something about the aliens worried him. They answered questions about their science and culture, but never talked about their home world. When he asked about their government or their history, they always changed the subject. Ryan tried to tell Captain Morrison about his concerns, but Jake was too excited about the alliance to listen. Chief Security Officer Tony Blake shared Ryan's worries. He watched the aliens carefully whenever they were on the ship. He noticed that they always stayed together. They never went anywhere alone. When humans were not watching, they spoke to each other in a strange way without making any sounds. Tony started keeping detailed records of everything the aliens did. On this day, Ambassador Kethfer made a special announcement. "Captain Morrison," he said with his usual bright smile, "we would like to invite you and your senior officers aboard our ship. We wish to hold a great ceremony to celebrate our alliance. It will be a historic moment for both our peoples." Jake felt honored by the invitation. "That sounds wonderful, Ambassador," he said. "Who would you like us to bring?" "Please bring Dr. Chun and Commander Fletcher," Kethfer replied. "Also bring your chief engineer and your communications officer. We want to show them the heart of our technology. They will be amazed by what they see." Dr. Chun was so excited she could barely contain herself. "Captain, this is the chance of a lifetime," she said. "No human has ever been aboard an alien ship before." Commander Fletcher felt uneasy about the invitation, but he did not want to seem rude. "How long will this ceremony last?" he asked. "Only a few hours," Kethfer replied. "You will be back on your ship before your crew even misses you." The next day, Jake and his team prepared to visit the Zephyrian ship. Dr. Chun brought her best scanning equipment to record everything. Commander Fletcher brought his sidearm even though the aliens said weapons were not necessary. Chief Engineer Steve Parker was excited to see alien technology. Communications Officer Kelly Adams looked forward to learning about alien communication methods. The Zephyrian ship was called the Harvester Prime. As soon as the humans stepped aboard, they knew they were somewhere completely different from their own ship. The walls seemed to be alive. They pulsed with soft light and moved gently like they were breathing. Strange sounds echoed through the corridors. It sounded like whispers in a language no human could understand. Ambassador Kethfer led them through amazing rooms filled with wonders. They saw gardens where plants grew in mid-air without soil. They watched machines that seemed to think for themselves. They walked through libraries where books wrote themselves as they watched. Dr. Chun recorded everything with wide eyes, an open mouth. "This is incredible," Steve Parker said as he examined a wall that repaired itself when he touched it. "How does any of this work?" "Our technology is based on living systems," Scholar Velthan explained. "We grow our machines instead of building them. Everything on our ship is alive in some way." The tour continued for 2 hours. The humans saw room after room of impossible technology, but they also noticed strange things. The ship was much bigger inside than it looked from outside. The corridors seemed to go on forever. Sometimes they heard sounds like crying or screaming from far away, but Kethfer always said it was just the ship's systems working. Finally, they reached the center of the ship. Kethfer called it the heart chamber. It was a huge round room with a high ceiling that glowed with soft blue light. In the center was a platform surrounded by strange machines. "This is where we will hold our ceremony," Kethfer announced. "Please step onto the platform so we can begin." Dr. Chun walked forward eagerly, but Commander Fletcher grabbed her arm. "Wait," he said. "What exactly happens during the ceremony?" Kethfer crystalline skin changed from blue to red for just a moment. "It is a simple ritual, Captain Fletcher," he said. "We will scan your minds to create a permanent record of this historic meeting. Future generations of both our species will be able to experience this moment." Kelly Adams looked around the room nervously. "Those machines look like medical equipment," she said. "Are you planning to operate on us?" "Of course not," Healer Zarkith said quickly. "The process is completely safe. You will feel nothing but a slight tingling sensation." Steve Parker pointed to something behind the aliens. "What are those things over there?" he asked. The humans turned to look where Steve was pointing. Along the walls of the chamber were rows of large crystal containers. Each one was filled with a thick liquid, and something was floating inside. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, the humans realized with horror what they were seeing. The containers held bodies, hundreds of them. But they were not human bodies. They were aliens of many different species. Some looked like giant insects. Others looked like walking trees. Some were so strange that the humans could not even guess what they might have been when they were alive. All of them had tubes connected to their heads and strange machines attached to their bodies. Dr. Chun screamed. Commander Fletcher drew his weapon. Kelly Adams backed toward the door they had entered through, but it was already sealed shut. "What is this place?" Jake demanded. "What are you doing to those people?" Ambassador Cuthbert's friendly expression disappeared. His crystalline skin turned completely black. "Those are not people, Captain Morrison," he said in a voice that was suddenly cold and cruel. "They are resources. Just as you and your crew will soon be resources." The truth hit the humans like a physical blow. Scholar Velthan stepped forward, and his appearance began to change. His beautiful robes dissolved, and his skin became rough and scaly. "We are not explorers," he said. "We are harvesters. We travel from world to world, collecting the best qualities of every species we meet." Healer Zarkith moved to block their path to the door. "Your species is particularly valuable," he said. "Humans have both high intelligence and strong emotions. You also have something we have never encountered before. You have the ability to create new ideas from nothing. This creativity is what we need most." Jake felt sick to his stomach. "You mean to kill us?" he said. "Not exactly," Cuthbert replied. "We will preserve your consciousness and your genetic material. Your bodies will die, but your minds will live forever as part of our collective. You should feel honored. You will help us become perfect beings." Commander Fletcher aimed his weapon at Cuthbert. "Let us go now, or I will shoot," he said. The three aliens laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm us, Commander Fletcher," Cuthbert said. "We have been harvesting species for thousands of years. We know how to deal with resistance." The machines around the platform suddenly came to life. Beams of light shot out and wrapped around the humans. Like ropes, the beams lifted them into the air and moved them toward the crystal containers. Jake struggled against the light, but it was stronger than steel. "Wait," Dr. Chun shouted. "You said you wanted to study us. You said you wanted to learn from us. Why are you doing this?" "We have learned everything we need to know," Velthan replied. "We have studied your bodies and minds for 3 months. We know how you think and how you feel. Now we will take those abilities and make them our own." The machines began to lower the humans toward empty containers that had opened along the wall. Jake could see tubes and wires waiting to be connected to his body. He thought about his crew aboard the Liberty. They had no idea what was happening. They would be next. Commander Fletcher managed to reach his communication device before the light beam completely trapped his arm. He pressed the emergency signal button and hoped someone aboard the Liberty would receive it. "This is Fletcher," he said into the device. "We are trapped. The aliens are hostile. Do not trust them. Save yourselves." Cuthbert heard the transmission, and his skin turned bright red with anger. "Foolish human," he said. "Now we will have to harvest your ship immediately, instead of taking our time. You have made things much more difficult." As the machines prepared to put the humans into the harvesting containers, Dr. Chun realized something important. The Zephyrians had made a mistake. They understood human biology and human psychology, but they did not understand human stubbornness. They thought humans would give up when faced with impossible odds. They were wrong. Dr. Chun began to fight back in the only way she could. She used her knowledge of the alien technology against them. As the machines tried to connect to her mind, she fed them false information mixed with real data. She created loops and contradictions in the information stream. She hoped it would cause problems for the aliens even, if she could not save herself. The last thing the humans saw before the containers closed was Ambassador Kethver speaking into a communication device. Begin immediate harvest of the human ship. Aboard the UES Liberty, chaos erupted when Commander Fletcher's broken transmission came through the communication system. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Carl Williams was the first to understand what the garbled message meant. The words were broken and filled with static, but the meaning was clear. Their captain and senior officers were in deadly danger. Lieutenant Commander Susan Hayes had been working in the engineering section when the emergency signal reached her. She was a tough woman, with red hair and green eyes, who had served in the military for 15 years. She had never expected to command a ship, but now the responsibility fell on her shoulders. She ran to the bridge as fast as she could. "Report," Susan demanded as she arrived on the bridge. "We received an emergency transmission from Commander Fletcher," said Navigation Officer Pete Morgan. "The signal was very weak and broken up. I could only make out a few words. Trapped, hostile, do not trust, save yourselves." Master Sergeant Danny Lee was already organizing the military personnel. He was a small man, but everyone knew he was dangerous in a fight. "Ma'am, we need to assume the worst," he said to Susan. "If the aliens have taken our people hostage, we need to be ready for anything." Dr. Carl Williams had been analyzing the biological samples the Zephyrians had shared with them over the past 3 months. Now he looked at those samples with new eyes. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes," he said urgently, "I need to show you something important. These alien tissue samples are not what they seem." Susan followed Dr. Williams to his laboratory. On his computer screen were microscopic images of the Zephyrian biological material. "Look at this," Carl said, pointing to the screen. "At first, I thought this was normal alien tissue, but when I studied it more carefully, I found something disturbing. This tissue contains genetic material from dozens of different species." "What does that mean?" Susan asked. "It means the Zephyrians are not a natural species," Carl replied. "They are some kind of hybrid beings made up of parts from many other creatures. The question is, how did they get all this genetic material?" The answer came to Susan like a cold wind. "They took it from other species," she said quietly. "They have been collecting genetic material from every alien race they meet." Meanwhile, on the bridge, Pete Morgan was studying the movement of the alien ship. "Ma'am, the Harvester Prime is changing position," he reported. "They are moving closer to us. At their current speed, they will be alongside us in 20 minutes. Susan realized they had very little time to act. "Danny, get every weapon we have ready for combat," she ordered. "Pete, prepare the ship for emergency jump to hyperspace. Carl, keep studying those samples. There has to be a weakness we can exploit." Engineer Robin Scott had been listening to the reports with growing fear. She was young, and this was her first mission in deep space. But she was also very smart, and she understood technology better than anyone else on the ship. "Ma'am," she said to Susan, "I have been thinking about something. The aliens have been scanning our minds and bodies for 3 months. What if they learned more than just our biology?" "What do you mean?" Susan asked. "What if they learned how we think?" Robin replied. "They might know how we will react to danger. They might be able to predict our battle tactics." Dr. Williams looked up from his microscope with excitement. "Robin might be onto something," he said. "I found neural tissue in these samples. The aliens don't just collect genetic material. They collect brain patterns and memory engrams. They steal the knowledge and experiences of other species. Susan felt a chill run down her spine. So they know everything about us, she said. Not everything, Carl replied with a slight smile. They made one big mistake. They studied our minds. But they did not understand our souls. They learned about human logic and human knowledge, but they cannot comprehend human emotion and human creativity. At that moment, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. The Zephyrian vessel was beginning some kind of scan. Energy beams swept across the Liberty from bow to stern. The crew could feel a strange tingling sensation as the alien technology probed their ship. They are trying to disable our systems, reported communications specialist Maria Santos. I am detecting intrusion attempts in our computer network. They are very sophisticated. Our normal security systems cannot stop them. Robin Scott had an idea. What if we don't try to stop them? She said. What if we let them into our computers, but give them false information? Explain, Susan said quickly. Dr. Chun was a specialist in alien psychology, Robin replied. Before she left the ship, she was working on a theoretical model of how alien minds might work differently from human minds. What if we use her research to create a computer virus designed specifically to attack alien thought patterns? Dr. Williams nodded with understanding. Brilliant, he said. We create a logical paradox that human minds can handle, but alien minds cannot process. It would be like psychological warfare. Marine Corps Captain Alex Turner had just arrived on the bridge. He was a big man with dark skin and serious eyes. Ma'am, we have another problem, he reported. The alien scanning beams are affecting some of our crew members. Lieutenant Rodriguez and 3 others have collapsed. They are unconscious, but their vital signs are stable. The aliens are testing their harvesting technology on us, Dr. Williams realized. They are trying to extract consciousness from our crew members, just like they did to our officers. Susan made a command decision. Robin, you have 15 minutes. To create that computer virus, she ordered. Carl, help her with the psychological aspects. Alex, prepare your Marines for boarding action. We are going to rescue our people. Man, that ship is 10 times our size, Alex protested. We don't have enough firepower to fight them directly. We are not going to fight them with weapons, Susan replied. We are going to fight them with our minds. Robin and Dr. Williams worked frantically to create their psychological weapon. They used Dr. Chun's research on alien neural patterns combined with human creativity and emotion. They built logical loops based on human concepts like love, sacrifice, hope, and individual identity. Things that the collective alien mind would not be able to understand or process. It's ready, Robin announced, but I need to warn you. This virus is designed to attack the fundamental basis of alien thought. If it works, it might cause permanent damage to their consciousness network. Susan looked around at her remaining crew. These people trusted her to make the right decision. Their captain and friends were being tortured and killed by creatures that saw humans as nothing more than resources to be harvested. Do it, she ordered. Maria Santos, prepared to broadcast the virus through their communications array. Ma'am, I am detecting massive energy buildup aboard the alien ship, she reported. I think they are preparing to harvest our entire crew at once. Now, Maria, Susan shouted. The virus launched from the Liberty's communication system and struck the Harvester Prime like an invisible fist. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien ship began to shudder and change color. Strange lights flickered across its crystalline surface. Inside the Harvester Prime, the effect was immediate and devastating. The virus spread through the Zephyrian collective consciousness like wildfire. Suddenly, thousands of alien minds were forced to process concepts they had never encountered: individual identity, personal choice, emotional love, self-sacrifice for others. The collective mind that had controlled the Zephyrians for millennia began to crack and fracture. For the first time in their history, individual Zephyrians began to think for themselves. Some embraced this new feeling of independence. Others fought against it and experienced terrible mental pain. Aboard the Liberty, the crew watched in amazement as the alien ship's coordinated movements became chaotic and random. Systems began failing throughout the Harvester. Prime. Emergency lights flashed and strange sounds echoed across space. "Ma'am, we are receiving a transmission from the alien ship," Maria Santos reported with excitement. "But it's not from Ambassador Kethfer. Someone else is trying to communicate with us." The voice that came through the speakers was different from any Zephyrian they had heard before. It sounded uncertain and afraid. "Human ship, please respond," the voice said. "This is the being you might call Unity Broken. I am no longer part of the collective. Your weapon has freed me from the group mind. I want to help you rescue your people." Susan could hardly believe what she was hearing. "How do we know this is not a trick?" she asked. "Because I can tell you something only a free mind would say," Unity Broken replied. "I choose to help you even though it means fighting against my own species. The collective mind would never make such a choice. Individual choice is what makes you humans so dangerous to us." Dr. Williams looked at his readings from the alien ship. "Ma'am, the virus is spreading through their entire network," he reported. "I estimate that 30% of their collective consciousness has been disrupted. Some are becoming individuals like Unity Broken. Others are experiencing complete mental breakdown." Captain Turner stepped forward. "Ma'am, if we have allies aboard that ship, now is the time to strike," he said. "My Marines are ready to board and fight our way to the captain and the others." Susan nodded. This was their best chance to save their people and stop the Zephyrian threat. "Alex, take your team and go," she ordered. "Unity Broken, will you help guide our rescue mission?" "I will do everything." Captain Alex Turner led his team of 12 Marines through the docking tube that connected the Liberty to the Harvester Prime. Each Marine carried weapons and equipment designed for close combat in alien environments. Tech specialist Maria Santos accompanied them with portable computer equipment to help maintain communication with their ship. The inside of the alien vessel was chaos. Emergency lights flashed red and blue throughout the corridors. Strange sounds echoed from hidden speakers. The living walls that had once pulsed with gentle rhythm now writhed and twisted like creatures in pain. Some sections of the ship were completely dark, while others blazed with blinding light. "This place has gone crazy," whispered Sergeant Bobby Chun as he watched a wall repair itself and then immediately tear apart again. "It's like the ship is fighting with itself." Unity Broken met them at the first junction. The alien looked very different from the Zephyrians they had met before. Instead of smooth crystalline skin, this being had rough patches of different colors and textures. It moved with jerky, uncertain motions, like someone learning to walk for the first time. "I am Unity Broken," the alien said in a voice that sounded nervous and excited. "I have never spoken to anyone as an individual before. This feeling of being separate from the group mind is strange but wonderful. Can you take us to our people?" Alex asked quietly. "Yes, but the path is dangerous," Unity Broken replied. "The collective loyalists have sealed many corridors. They are trying to prevent the virus from spreading further. We will have to fight our way through." As they moved deeper into the ship, they encountered other Zephyrians who had been affected by the virus. Some welcomed them as allies. Others attacked them with desperate fury. The newly individual aliens had no experience with personal combat, but they fought with the strength of beings discovering freedom for the first time. "There are humans ahead," reported Corporal Lisa White as she checked her scanner. Multiple life signs in a large chamber, about 200 meters forward. The rescue team moved carefully through corridors filled with strange technology that no longer worked properly. Machines that had once operated in perfect coordination now sparked and smoked as they received conflicting commands from different parts of the alien collective mind. They reached the heart chamber where Captain Morrison and his team were being held. Through a transparent wall, they could see their friends floating in crystal containers filled with glowing liquid. Tubes and wires connected to their heads and bodies. Monitoring equipment showed their vital signs, but their eyes were closed and they appeared unconscious. Ambassador Kethver stood near the center of the chamber, along with Scholar Velfin and Healer Zarkith. The three aliens were clearly struggling against the effects of the virus. Their crystalline skin flickered between different colors as their collective mind fought against individual thoughts trying to emerge. "Surrender now?" Alex called out through the barrier. "Release our people, and we will spare your lives." Kethvar turned toward them with eyes that blazed with fury. "Never," he snarled. "These humans contain the genetic and psychological patterns we need to perfect our species. We will complete the harvesting process even if it destroys us." Unity Broken stepped forward beside Alex. "Kethver, you must listen to reason," the rebel alien said. "The collective mind is breaking apart. Individual consciousness is spreading through our entire species. We can choose a new way to exist." "Individual consciousness is a disease," Velfin replied with disgust. "It makes beings weak and selfish. The collective mind is perfection. We will not allow it to be destroyed by human contamination." Inside the harvesting containers, Dr. Lisa Chun began to stir. The virus that she had introduced into the alien systems during her capture was still working. It had created enough chaos in the Zephyrian network to weaken the harvesting process. She opened her eyes and saw the rescue team outside the chamber. Dr. Chun could not speak because of the breathing apparatus in her mouth, but she could move her hands slightly. She began entering commands into the container's control system. Her knowledge of alien technology combined with human creativity allowed her reprogram the harvesting machines. "Something is happening to the containers," Maria Santos reported as she monitored the alien systems. "The human life signs are getting stronger." Captain Morrison opened his eyes and looked around the container. He was weak from the harvesting process, but his mind was clear. He could see Commander Fletcher and the others beginning to wake up in their own containers. The alien machines had been extracting their consciousness for hours, but Chun's sabotage was reversing the process. Kethver noticed the change and rushed to the control systems. "The humans are fighting back from inside the containers," he shouted to his companions. "Increase power to the harvesting beams." But when he tried to access the controls, he found that human logic patterns had infected the alien computer network. Every command he gave resulted in error messages written in human languages. The machines refused to follow orders that came from the collective mind. Unity Broken and several other rebel Zephyrians used the distraction to break through the barrier, protecting the heart chamber. They fought hand to hand with the loyalist aliens, while the human Marines provided cover fire. The battle was fierce, but brief. The loyalists were skilled fighters, but they had no experience with individual combat tactics. Alex Turner reached the control systems and began working with Maria Santos to free the captured humans. The alien technology was complex, but they found that it responded to human neural patterns better than Zephyrian commands. The virus had not just disrupted the alien collective mind. It had made their technology compatible with human consciousness. One by one, the crystal containers opened and released their prisoners. Captain Morrison was the first to step out. He was unsteady on his feet, but alive and alert. Commander Fletcher followed closely behind him. Dia Shun needed help walking, but she was conscious and able to speak. "Captain," Alex said with relief. "Are you all right, sir?" "I'll be fine," Morrison replied, "but we have bigger problems." This ship contains thousands of harvested beings from dozens of species. The Zephyrians have been doing this for thousands of years across the entire galaxy. Dr. Chun looked around at the rebel aliens who had helped rescue them. Unity broken, is this true? She asked. Are there really thousands of prisoners on this ship? Yes, Dr. Chun, Unity broken replied sadly. The collective mind has preserved the consciousness and genetic material of every species we have encountered. We have been building a library of life forms to make ourselves into perfect beings. Commander Fletcher checked his weapon and looked toward the exit. We need to get back to our ship, he said. If there are other Zephyrian vessels out there, they might be coming to investigate what happened here. There are other ships, Unity Broken confirmed. The collective mind spans dozens of harvesting vessels across this region of space. But your virus is spreading to them through our quantum communication network. They are experiencing the same breakdown we have suffered here. Dr. Chun realized the full implications of what Unity Broken was saying. The virus is affecting their entire species, she said with amazement. We have not just stopped one ship. We have disrupted their entire civilization. Kethvar and the remaining loyalists made one final desperate attack. They activated emergency protocols that began flooding the heart chamber with deadly radiation. Their plan was to kill everyone rather than allow the collective mind to be destroyed completely. But the newly individual Zephyrians fought back with unexpected courage. Unity Broken and the other rebels sacrificed themselves to protect the humans and shut down the radiation systems. They had learned about heroism and self-sacrifice from human thought patterns, concepts that the collective mind could never understand. As the rescue team prepared to return to the Liberty, they faced a difficult choice. Thousands of harvested beings from many species were still trapped in containers throughout the ship. Some had been unconscious for years or even decades. Others might still be alive and aware. We cannot leave them here, Dr. Chun said firmly despite her weakness. These beings have families and worlds that think they are dead. We have to try to save them. Captain Morrison looked at his exhausted team and then at the vast alien ship around them. How many people are we talking about? He asked Unity Broken. The Harvester Prime contains approximately 3,000 preserved consciousness patterns, the alien rebel replied. Some are from species we encountered recently. Others are from civilizations we harvested centuries ago. Many of their home worlds no longer exist. Commander Fletcher understood the tactical situation. Sir, we don't have the resources or medical facilities to help 3,000 alien refugees, he said. Our ship barely has enough life support for our own crew. Alex Turner had been monitoring communications with the Liberty. Captain, we have another problem, he reported. Lieutenant Commander Hayes reports that more Zephyrian ships are approaching this system. At least 6 vessels detected so far. They will arrive within 12 hours. The situation seemed impossible. They had rescued their own people, but now they faced a moral dilemma that could determine the fate of thousands of innocent beings. They also had to escape before more Zephyrian ships arrived to investigate the loss of the harvest. The final confrontation began when Ambassador Kethvar activated the last desperate protocol of the Zephyrian collective mind. Deep in the heart chamber of the Harvester Prime, the remaining loyalist aliens gathered around a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with dark energy. This was the primary node that connected their ship to the collective consciousness network spanning dozens of vessels across the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison and Commander Ryan Fletcher had returned to the alien ship one final time. They could not leave while Kethvar still controlled the harvesting systems. As long as the primary node remained active, the collective mind could regain control of the rebel Zephyrians and resume their galaxy-wide campaign of harvesting sentient species. Captain, the energy readings from that crystal are off the charts, reported Maria Santos as she scanned the chamber. If Kethvar activates it at full power, It could drain the life force from every human and rebel alien on both ships. Dia Lisa Chun had recovered enough strength to accompany the final mission. Her understanding of Zephyrian technology had become crucial to their survival. The primary node is not just a communication device, she explained. It is the heart of their collective consciousness. If we can destroy it, we can end their threat permanently. Unity Broken and 12 other rebel Zephyrians fought alongside the humans. The newly individual aliens moved with purpose and determination that would have been impossible under the collective mind. They had learned concepts like courage, loyalty, and self-sacrifice from human thought patterns. Kethver, Unity Broken, called out across the chamber. You must stop this madness. The collective mind is dying. Individual consciousness is spreading through our entire species. You cannot turn back evolution itself. Ambassador Kethver stood before the primary node with his crystalline skin blazing red with fury. Scholar Velthin and Healer Zarkith flanked him, along with 20 loyalist Zephyrians who still clung to the old ways. Individual consciousness is a disease, Kethver snarled. We will purge it from our people, even if we must sacrifice every being on this ship. The Loyalists began the activation sequence for the primary node. Energy crackled between the crystal formations as the device prepared to drain consciousness from every sentient being in the area. The air itself seemed to vibrate with dangerous power. Commander Fletcher raised his weapon, but Dr. Chun stopped him. Conventional weapons cannot damage that crystal, she said. It exists partially in another dimension. We need to attack it with the same kind of weapon we used before. You mean another virus? Asked Captain Morrison. Not exactly, Chun replied. We need to overload the crystal with concepts that the collective mind cannot process. But this time we need to do it directly through physical contact. Unity Broken understood immediately. You want one of us to touch the primary node while thinking human thoughts, the rebel alien said. That would destroy the mind of whoever attempts it. It might destroy the collective consciousness permanently, Dr. Chun confirmed. But it would also kill whoever makes the connection. The battle for the heart chamber intensified as the primary node approached full activation. Human Marines fought with energy weapons, while rebel Zephyrians used biotechnology that they were still learning to control as individuals. The Loyalists fought with desperate fury because they knew this was their last chance to preserve the collective mind. Captain Morrison found himself in direct combat with Scholar Velthin. The alien was stronger and faster than any human but. It fought with the rigid patterns of the collective mind. Morrison used human unpredictability and creativity to stay ahead of the alien's attacks. You cannot win human, Velthin said as they struggled. Even if you destroy this ship, there are dozens of other harvesting vessels across the galaxy. The collective mind will survive and continue the harvest. Maybe, Morrison replied as he landed a lucky blow that staggered the alien. But every ship we free creates more rebels like Unity Broken. Your collective mind is already dying. Commander Fletcher and his Marines had fought their way to within 10 meters of the primary node when the crystal reached critical activation. Waves of energy began draining consciousness from everyone in the chamber. Human and Zephyrian alike felt their minds being pulled toward the crystal. I can feel it trying to absorb my thoughts, gasped Sergeant Bobby Chun as he struggled to stay conscious. It's like something is pulling my soul out of my body. Dr. Chun realized they had only seconds before the primary node completed its activation. Once it reached full power, it would drain every conscious being in the area and use their combined life force to restore the collective mind to its original strength. Unity Broken, she called out. You have to do it now. Touch the crystal and think about individual choice. Think about personal freedom and the right to make your own decisions. The rebel alien looked at Dr. Chun with what might have been affection. Thank you for teaching us what it means to be individuals, Unity Broken said. I choose to save my friends. Unity Broken ran toward the primary node, despite the energy beams that tried to stop the advance. The loyal Zephyrians realized what was happening and tried to intercept, but human Marines provided covering fire. Several rebels sacrificed themselves to clear a path for Unity Broken. Ambassador Kethver saw Unity Broken approaching the crystal and screamed with rage. "Stop," he commanded. "I order you to stop. You belong to the collective mind. I belong to myself," Unity Broken replied. "That is what humans taught me. Individual consciousness is not a disease. It is freedom." Unity Broken reached the primary node and placed both hands on the crystal surface. Immediately, the alien's body began to glow with blinding light as the crystal tried to absorb its consciousness. But instead of submitting, Unity Broken fought back with concepts learned from humans that the rebel alien thought about personal choice, about the right to disagree with authority, about love that exists between individuals rather than loyalty to a group, about the beauty of different perspectives and the strength that comes from diversity rather than conformity. These concepts flooded into the primary node and spread through the quantum network to every Zephyrian ship in the galaxy. The collective consciousness that had existed for thousands of years encountered ideas that it could not process or control. Individual identity, personal responsibility, the choice to help others even at cost to yourself. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the collective mind. Across dozens of star systems, Zephyrian harvesting ships experienced cascading failures as their crews began thinking for themselves. Some Zephyrians embraced individual consciousness and became rebels. Others could not handle the change and simply shut down. Kethver felt his connection to the collective mind breaking apart. For the first time in his existence, he was alone with his own thoughts. The experience terrified him. "What have you done?" he screamed at Unity Broken. "You have destroyed everything we were. I have given us the chance to become something better." Unity Broken replied through the energy field surrounding the crystal. "The collective mind made us predators. Individual consciousness can make us protectors." The primary node began to crack and fracture as it overloaded with contradictory information. The crystal that had once been the heart of a galaxy spanning collective consciousness could not contain the chaos of billions of individual minds, all thinking different thoughts. Ambassador Kethver and the remaining loyalists made one final attack. They could not accept the destruction of everything they had believed in for millennia. They would rather die than live as individuals. The battle was brief but fierce. Commander Fletcher and his team fought to protect Unity Broken, while the rebel alien completed the destruction of the primary node. Dr. Chun used her knowledge of alien technology to help Unity Broken channel human concepts into the crystal more effectively. "Think about forgiveness," she called out to Unity Broken. "Think about giving second chances to people who have made mistakes. The collective mind cannot understand mercy." Unity Broken focused on the concept of redemption while the primary node continued to crack and fragment. The idea that beings could change and become better than they were spread through the quantum network like wildfire. Even some loyalist Zephyrians began to question their commitment to the collective mind. Scholar Velfin suddenly stopped fighting Captain Morrison. "I can feel something changing in my mind," the alien said with confusion. "I am having thoughts that are not part of the collective consciousness." "Is this what you call individual identity?" "Yes," Morrison replied carefully. "It means you can choose your own path instead of following orders from the group mind." Velfin looked around the chamber at the battle raging between humans and loyalist Zephyrians. For the first time in its existence, it had to make a personal decision about right and wrong. "I choose to help the rebels," Velfin announced. "The collective mind has caused too much suffering across the galaxy." The conversion of Scholar Velfin marked the beginning of the end for the Loyalist forces. One by one, the remaining collective-minded Zephyrians began experiencing individual consciousness. Some welcomed the change. Others fought against it and experienced mental breakdown. Ambassador Kethfer was the last to resist. As the primary node finally shattered completely, he felt his connection to the collective mind disappear for